Hello there, and welcome to another episode of Ossi Comments On. This time, Joan of Arc leads an army by drunk history, and this is actually the first time that we do something from drunk history here. It's a great TV show that did not run here in Germany, but there are YouTube videos out there, and yeah, it's basically they get an actress or an actor to get drunk, and I mean really drunk, and then recite an historical event or a historical person or stuff like that while being fully drunk. And they have 2 weeks beforehand with where they get research material on a topic they actually have interest in, of course. And then they tell the story, and then other actors, in this case Vanessa Hudgens primarily, reenact what these drunk people told, and yeah, we will see it ourselves. To me, I'm Ossi Eastbourne, I'm 31 years old, I'm from East Germany, but raised and now living in Hamburg, Germany. I'm a former history student without degree and a former video game journalist. This is Knowledge Enthusiast, your platform of watching reaction videos that are kind of different from other reaction videos, because I do actually do research after recording when editing, and put it in the info text box there, where you have all clarifications and of course corrections and additional information. Without further ado, let's hope this video is on the shorter end of the stick and not 2 hours long. So let's start with Joan of Arc leads an army by drunk history from the channel Comedy Central, of course, and link is down below.
Hello, I'm Hillary Ann Matthews, and today we're going to talk about Joan of Arc. Our story begins in France in the year 1412. The 100 Years' War is raging in Europe between France and England. So Joan of Arc was a peasant girl.
So first things first, Joan of Arc was born in Domremy, France, which is more or less on the eastern side near the German border, I think. And the 100 Years' War started about 1353 between France and England, and the spark of the 100 Years' War was that the we have to go even further back. In 1066, a guy from Normandy, which is in France, conquered England, which is in England, and this guy was William the Conqueror, or William the Bastard, or William the First. And as I said, he was from Normandy. And flash forward 200 years, the French king dies, I think, in 1353, and the throne of France is vacant. And the English now think, because there are descendants of the Duke of Normandy, and still are the Dukes of Normandy, I think, at that point, they have a claim on the throne, and they are ready to claim the throne by sending a force of, what was it, like 100 knights, 1,000 knights and 6,000 archers or something like that to France, which goes horribly wrong at first, because if I remember correctly, that's the fight where they get stuck in mud with the archers, and where the cavalry can't do anything because of mud. But the war rages on. It's not a continuous battle after battle after battle after battle, but the English have a stronghold in France, and the French are actually losing the war up until 1420, or at that point 1412, she said. 1412, yeah. But is it 1412? Isn't 1412 the year when she was born? I will put it in the info textbook. But I think it was 1420 something that Joan of Arc claimed that angels have spoken to her. Joan of Arc, that was German, by the way, is not a poor peasant. She was born into a wealthier family of peasants. They're still farmers, but they're wealthier than normal, that you would expect maybe.
Between France and England. So Joan of Arc was a peasant girl. She's 13 years old. She's in a field. But then all of a sudden, she hears voices. We have a mission for you. And she was like, who even are you guys? And they were like, I'm Saint Michael. I'm Saint Margaret. And I'm Saint Catherine. And they're like, all we want is for you to go to church and just like be cool and chill and obedient. She's like, that's it? And they're like, yeah, that's it.
Actually, the first one was, so they according to the legend, they were not all three at the same time. Saint Marcus was the second. Was it Margaret? What were their names?
Cool and chill and they're like, all we want.
Where do they tell their names?
Voices. We have a mission for you. And she was like, who even are you guys? And they were like, I'm Saint Michael. I'm Saint Margaret. And I'm Saint Catherine.
Yeah, Margaret was the first, then Michael, and then Catherine. So they were not at the same time, they one after each other. And I think they tell her from the beginning that she shall lead an army to crown King Charles the Seventh. I think it's at that time. But yeah, of course, there were most likely no angels involved, but that's how the story goes.
I'm Saint Margaret, and I'm Saint Catherine. And they're like, all we want is for you to go to church and just like be cool and chill and obedient. She's like, that's it? And they're like, yeah, that's it. The King of France was King Charles VI. People around him get him to sign a peace treaty that will end the 100 Years' War. He has a son, also named Charles. Charles of Valois, also called the Dauphin. So when his father...
The Dauphin was the title for the heir to the throne at that time for the specific family. I think it was only used for two families in French history. But yeah, the primal heir to the throne was called the Dauphin. But I like how they say it here.
It's also called the Dauphin. So when his father signed this peace treaty, it was disinheriting him from the throne. Gosh darn it!
It's just one little drop.
It's been happening this whole time. Okay, so Joan is now a 16-year-old girl in a 16-year-old world. And these voices, they're like, hey girl, you need to lead France to victory and get Charles Valois crowned as the rightful king of France. And she was like, you guys, that's not what you told me the first time, you guys. They're like, you need to go to this lord gentleman named Baudricourt. He's gonna help you get Charles crowned. Then she runs away from home.
I think she was 17, but 16, 17, maybe she was 16 when she got this message and 17 when she actually arrived at this Baudricourt guy. Yeah, but she was older, and I totally forgot what I wanted to say here. Except from I don't know exactly what age she was, but this Baudricourt guy is an influential guy from court, and he is actually the one who tests her, and lets her kiss a cross or something like that.
To Lord Baudricourt. She arrives and Joan's like, hello, I am Joan, and I am here because saints talk to me in my head, and it is God's will to have Charles of Valois crowned the rightful king of France. And Lord Baudricourt is straight up like, get this crazy girl back to her home. But like, then what happens is that she gets kind of like a following. People have heard about Joan of Arc, and they are on board. Lord Baudricourt is like, okay, well actually, we can work with this. And Joan's like, cut off my hair and dress me in men's clothes so I don't get raped? And he's like, okay. Because it was really dangerous, because she's a woman. Ugh.
So yeah, Joan of Arc claims that God or angels have talking to her and have given her the oh my god, I paused at the very she looks even drunker than she is, I think, in this picture. But yeah, they told her that God wants her to lead the army to get Charles of Valois or Charles VII crowned. And then she arrives at this B-point guy whose name I always forget. And he tests her, he lets her kiss a cross, and then he trusts her. But she gets repelled at first, I think. But I do not know why she was wearing men's dress, and I think it's commonly unknown. If it's to not be raped, or is it to just don't stand out, or is it because just she was wearing armor because she was why she was going to this B point was that she wanted an escort to travel to the Dauphin and have an audience with him. And for an escort, she needed an escort. She, as a peasant, had not that much of influence to get it on her own. So she asked for it, and because from Dauphin, or not Dauphin, Doremy to or wherever this now is, to where the king is, you have to go to through Burgundy, and Burgundy is allied with the English, so it's enemy territory. So there might be many reasons why she wore men's clothes, but that would come to bite her in the ass later.
And he's like, okay, because it was really dangerous, because she's a woman. Ugh, God, the Middle Ages. I'm glad we're not in them.
Amen.
Too harsh to women. And the breath was bad. So they arrive at Chignon. And Charles of Valois is like, wait, who's here? And they're like, a 16-year-old girl who hears the voices of saints. And he's like, okay, you know what? Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna put on this big, goofy mustache and this big floppy hat, and I'm gonna trick her, and I'm gonna see if she knows what's up. And so he's just like, I'm just a courtier. I'm just a regular old courtier. And she walks in and she's like, you're Charles of Valois. You are my rightful king. He's like, wow.
Slow clap.
That part of the story I've never heard of. What I know is that, yeah, she was escorted to Chinois and met the king there. And then she tells him about the voices and making him king and stuff. And actually, there is a passage that she and that the king and her would go to a private room alone and discuss the matters. and then later on he would support her, and he also has, I think, 3 weeks long. So he sends Joan to his court women, and what's the English word? Seduce her? No. Check. Just let's say check. To check her, especially if she is a virgin, and that apparently took 3 weeks. And after then, it was proclaimed that she is a virgin and that she is true and honest. Then he gave her an army to lay siege on, or not lay siege on Orléans, but to free Orléans, because Orléans is besieged.
He's like, wow.
But this, never heard.
Slow clap.
He slow claps her. Can you believe that he slow claps her?
The first slow clap.
Yeah, it was the first slow clap. And so he's like, great, because we want the same thing, which is for me to be king of France. So Joan was like, okay, dude, give me an army. I want that army. Oh, give me that army. And he's like, okay, guess what? Army bestowed. She sets out with this army to Orléans. So they get there, and they were like, okay, here's what's up. We have to strategize. We have to think about this logically. We have to make plans. And Joan was like, guess the what? No! We gotta just go for it, you guys! Because God wants us to do it. And they're like, oh my gosh, God? Yeah, he's the tops. We are going to just freaking... I hate it when people say freaking.
Let's say it differently.
So then they just freaking go for it.
And yeah, so the town of Orléans is besieged by the Burgunds or the Brits or something, and then Joan and her fellow army arrive there and just attack. Just brave attack, and she leads the men in battle, and she gives them her spirit, even so that the people inside the town are encouraged to ride out of town and help. And after a little bit of battling, Joan of Arc gets an arrow in her shoulder, but she stays on the battlefield and keeps fighting and keeps inspiring the people, raising the morale to a high. And then the besieging forces actually leave the area, and it's a huge victory, and everyone is happy.
Let's say it differently.
So then they just f***ing go for it. And they are like attacking and attacking and attacking the English. And Joan is in the thick of it. And she is not shying away. And then whoop, she gets hit in the shoulder with an arrow. But here's what's amazing. The English surrender. And they're like, fine, white handkerchief, white handkerchief.
You do handkerchief instead of handkerchief.
Yes, handkerchief. Yeah, I do.
Okay.
And everyone's like, we did it! And we did it because Joan of Arc led us to this point. Charles of Valois the Dauphin is crowned King of France. And everyone's like, yay!
And when Charles was crowned, Joan was actually there holding a victory flag. I don't know how you say it in English, and I might put it just in the info textbook, but she stands beside, and he has she has foreseen this and has told the king, and was like, okay, no, this is what I told you, it happened, and everyone was happy and everyone was glad, and especially the French, but not the Brits.
Dauphin is crowned King of France. And everyone's like, yay! Then Charles of Valois is like, now I want you to go to Paris and take Paris. She's like, cool, I'll do it.
That's wrong. That's absolutely technically wrong, because Charles did not want to go to Paris. Joan wants to go to Paris and tries to convince Charles to let her go to Paris, but he is absolutely against it. Then he has a few defeats, or his army has a few defeats, and then he allows her to go to Paris, where she is besieged, defeated.
Valois is
But
like,
that's a spoiler.
now I want you to go to Paris and take Paris. She's like, cool, I'll do it. So Joan goes to Paris and she shoots a bunch of arrows. So in the midst of this battle, Joan is captured. They're like, we got you. Oh, did we ever get you? You are wearing men's clothes. You are wearing men's clothes. And now, girlfriend, that means you gotta be burned at the stake. She's like,
Not really.
Joan of Arc, 19 years old, is put onto a wooden stake. And then they light it on fire.
We're missing a whole lot here. So when Joan of Arc was captured, she was captured by the Burgunds, I think, and then held in prison for like 7 months. Then she was sold to the English king and brought to the English castle, the main castle on French soil, and where she was in jail for another 5 months. And then she was trialed a first time, with 62 charges pressed upon her, the most known of which were heresy and wearing men's clothes. And she's giving the the trial is led by a bishop or something like that, and then she's asked to. I'm so sorry. And then she's told that if she confesses and returns to the normal faith, so she revokes everything that she has said earlier about angels and stuff like that, confesses that she's just a heretic, and changes her mind or her faith back to the real faith, then she will live, and otherwise she will burn on the stakes. And she actually does this. So the famous modern depictions that she holds true to her beliefs and stands a trial and doing nothing against it, more or less, and hopes in God, is a very exaggerated depiction. In reality, she immediately gives up and confesses because she don't want to die. And she's at that point 18-19-year-old girl, so not that old. And that was the first trial. I don't remember at which trial it was, but I think it was also on the first trial. So the trial lists are of course lawyers and bishops, people who are very educated and very eloquent, and she's just a peasant, but she turns out to be very eloquent as well, and very smart as well. So she's asked the question whether or not she thinks that God chose her. If she would say yes, then of course that would not be good for her, because she would then again be charged of heresy. If she says no, then she would be a liar, and which would also not be good for her. And then she made this famous quote, If I am not, shall God put me there? And if I am, shall God keep me there? Something like that. And so she neither says yes or no, and gives a very, very smart answer. And after that, she's told that she would burn on the stake, and then she revokes everything she says and admits everything, and gets put to jail for life. But now here comes the plot twist. That's not enough for the king. The king wants her reputation scattered and her removed. Because if she's just in a prison, that could inspire the French people to free her and see her as a martyr. So he obviously, of course, wants to not have that. And presses on that a second charge is made, which will actually be made a few months later, and where she again is tried of heresy and of wearing men's clothes. And the crucial point here is that the heresy charge is she was already tried, and that convict stands. And now it's about that she still has not learned, so that she is they just say that she would still pray and still be heretic while in prison, and she would still wear men's clothes while in prison, which she did because she had no other choice. She was not given men's clothes, but only women's clothes, but only men's clothes. She did not want to wear them. She had an argument with the prison guards, but because there was nothing else there, she had to wear them, and therefore it was an easy charge. And then she was as unteachable, if you want so. She was put on the stakes to prevent that she becomes a martyr. And by burning her, she became a martyr. What a surprise. And 24, then the 100 years war would go on for 20 more years, but these 20 more years see one French victory after another, because the people now fight for Joan of Arc, literally, and are inspired by her and are inspired by their own victories now. And so the English will lose the war. Also, because of Joan of Arc, the people of Burgundy change their mind and ally with the French. So the French force is now even stronger, and they can repel the English back to Great Britain, which then will lead to the War of the Roses. A major internal struggle, and they would never again... Okay, they will come again to France and try to conquer it, but you know what I mean. And Joan of Arc, which was at that point only known as Joan Arc, or the Virgin of Orleans, or stuff like that, would then be trialed again 24 years after her death, where all charges and all everything is away. She's now free, and she's now oh my god, what's the word? Acquitted, maybe, yeah. Pardoned. Let's say pardoned. She's now pardoned of every charge, and the house in which she was born is still standing today, and next to it or in it is a museum about her. Her spirit is still strong, even now, and was still strong. She was used during the French Revolution, during the French occupation by Germany in the Second World War, by French and by Germans. And at the beginning of the 20th century, she was canonized. So she is a saint, and she's also a saint in the Anglican. Or I don't know if she is a saint in the in the Church of England, but her Remembrance Day is also celebrated in the Church of England. So even the enemy is fond of her, I guess. But yeah, it was brutal. And it's just to make an example.
Steak, and then they light it on fire. And then she starts calling out for her saints, and she's like, Saint Michael, the big kahuna of Saint Michael, Saint Margaret. Okay, Saint Catherine, Saint Margaret, Saint Catherine, Saint Michael, Saint Margaret, Saint Catherine. It's like cricket, cricket, cricket. And everybody's just watching this 19-year-old woman just get burnt alive at the stake. So then Joan, she dies. The end. Is it redundant to believe in your own beliefs? I don't care, and neither did Joan. Here's the thing about 17-year-olds. At that time, standing in a field blinking. At this time, looking at Instagram blinking. Joan of Arc, leading an army. I'm not saying you need to aspire to more, but like maybe aspire to more. Like maybe lead an army or two, or one or two.
Yeah, that's a great video. I liked how she told it. I liked the power she has. I liked how they acted it, especially Vanessa Hudgens made a good job, and the French guy, the Charles VII. And yeah, so as I said, she did immediately revoke everything and claimed, pretty much confessed to everything pressed upon her. Which was crucial for the English to undermine her reputation. But in the end, especially because of the second trial, she then became a martyr nonetheless, even though she betrayed everything with her confession, which she later claimed she only made because she was shocked, and this was her first impulse to drop on the floor and confess to everything to not be sentenced to death. Because after all, she was only a young, at that point, woman. She was 19 years old when she was burned at the stake in 1430, I think, or 31. I think 30 or 31. But she was so inspiring for the French people that they had finally were be able to end the 100 years. Because as we know, the whole story starts with the French giving up. So they were already more or less defeated. Great story. And this was the first time we did Drunk History, but fear not, we will do it again. Not now, not in the next video, but in the future we will look at some other videos of Drunk History. If you have an idea or what video or any video apart from that, just give me an idea what in the comments, what do you want me to comment on, and in the meantime watch my other videos. If you liked it, like and subscribe. If you don't like it, dislike and do not subscribe, and tell me maybe why you dislike. And whatever else you want to say, just tell me. I'm all ears. And yeah, stay tuned for the next video, which will be, drum roll, World War II by Oversimplified Part 2. So you don't have to wait too long for Part 2. And which will be out in from now 2 days. But if you watch this in the future, it will already be out, or it will only be out in 1 day. Who knows? I know. And you know that I'm not telling the truth. Good night, good day, bye bye.